going to be reading 3 finalist screenplays for the short screenplay competition, and you've received voting forms, so you may vote on your favorite screenplay read this afternoon. If you've not gotten the voting forms, please let one of the volunteers in the box office know. The winner will be announced tonight at 9 o'clock at the awards ceremony at the Community Gardens Grand Lawn. The winning author will receive a cash prize, and the viewer that reads the winner will also receive a cash prize. Our 3 finalists are The Beginning of the End, written by Juliette McDaniel, read by Oklahoma City Theater Company. The Right Man, written by T.J. Barkwell, read by Production Theater Company. The Uterus Chat, written by Melody Wilderman. First up, we will have Oklahoma City Theater Company reading Beginning of the End by Juliette McDaniel.
Interior bedroom, night. 2 bodies tussle under the bed sheets. Sounds of a couple having mutually enjoyable sex are heard as the bodies move more furiously. They both climax and the tussling stops. The woman throws back the sheet to reveal the couple's heads lay where feet usually rest. Both are breathing heavy.
I'm gonna need a minute here.
Take your time. We've got all night.
I love Friday nights.
It's been months of this.
Yeah. So
I'm just glad you're still interested in sex.
interested? Why wouldn't I be interested in sex?
I guess I mean interested in sex. With me.
Is this a trap?
A trap? Why would I trap you?
Oh, never mind. I'm not thinking right.
He kisses her. She kisses back. Within seconds, they are full on, bodies entwined, making out. Abruptly, the woman pulls away.
I wasn't trying to trap you or trick you into anything.
I know. I wasn't saying
I
that.
only wanted to say that I'm glad you aren't bored with me. That's a good thing.
You're amazing. Why would I be bored with you?
You know, guys get bored and in bed with the same woman.
I am not bored. That time on the dresser, not boring. That schoolgirl outfit, ditto. And that thing you did earlier with your boobs and your mouth and that, what was that, your thumb?
Pinky.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hell yeah. Holy shit, not boring.
You did seem to really like that.
So, are we good?
The woman rolls over on top of the man.
Oh, we're good, baby.
More kissing, even more passionately than before, maybe a little exaggerated by both of them. The man rolls over so he is on top. He pulls back from the kiss and looks her in the eyes.
You know, though, since you did bring it up,
Unbelievable. What?
She turns her head away from the man's gaze.
there is something we haven't done yet, and I think it could be unreal.
And what would that be?
You could let me,
No, I don't know. Tell me. I'm all ears.
let me boldly go.
Oh my God. You didn't.
What?
You did not
I
just
thought we were
use
talking
a Star
here.
Trek line to tell me you want to stick it in my ass.
There's an uneasy pause as they both stare at each other.
You don't have to be vulgar about it.
Jesus.
The woman springs from bed and starts to dress.
You know, I've been waiting for this. I knew it was coming.
We're just talking here. It's no big deal.
All the hinting, the talking around it.
I haven't been hinting.
The woman picks her jeans off the floor and angrily yanks them
Oh,
up.
please. 2 Fridays ago, the whole I'd like a fudgesicle thing.
What are you talking about?
We were in bed and I asked you what you wanted. And you said a fudgesicle would be nice.
It was hot in here, and I thought, I heard an ice cream truck.
Oh, bullshit. What about last weekend when we were watching TV and that stand-up comedian said, women don't like butt sex. They love it.
It was a funny punchline.
Yeah, one you repeated 3 times at dinner.
Well,
You're a child! You can't even come right out and ask for it!
I just did ask for it, and look where it got me.
Rather than put it on, the woman lets her shirt fall to the floor. She sits down on the edge of the bed with her back to the man.
You have a point. Kinda.
The man inches closer to her. He kisses her shoulder and fingers her bra strap.
I only brought it up because you've been so adventurous. Is that the right word?
He kisses her neck and down her shoulders.
If we do this, and I'm not saying we will, you need to understand that it's not like in the pornos.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps kissing around her ear, further down her neck. His hands reach into her bra.
It's delicate and requires precision and patience and a ton of lube.
Uh-huh.
He stops kissing.
You've done this before?
The woman pulls his hand out of her bra.
Here we go.
She gets off the bed and picks her shirt up off the floor.
You have, haven't you?
What difference does it make?
What difference? You can't get all offended when I ask you for something you've already done.
Says who? Why is the fact you aren't the first to boldly go
The man,
Don't you say it now.
where a couple of men have gone before?
A couple?
Yeah, a couple? A few?
A few? What, like more than 4?
No.
Then 2. 2 means a couple, right? A couple?
Yeah, sure. A couple? 2? Or so? What does that matter?
I haven't even done it once. Not once.
So what, you were saving yourself for me or something?
No.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer me.
Oh, great.
You were married before. Why didn't you ask your ex-wife for it?
My ex? You've got to be kidding. My wife?
Exactly! That's it! You didn't ask her because she was your wife. You can't ask your wife for something slutty like that.
the man is out of bed angrily throwing on his clothes.
I have never treated you like a slut.
You are right now. You couldn't do that to your wife, the woman you planned on having children with, but it's okay to plunder the holiest of holies with your whore girlfriend.
He is in her face now, throwing up fingers to count down his points.
1, my ex thought oral was icky. So, hell no, I never mentioned it to her. 2, I have never thought of you as a whore or a slut. 2A.
2A?
2A. I have thought plenty about having kids with you. 2B. I have thought a little less about plundering, as you so colorfully call it, you than I have thought about 2A with you.
The woman's demeanor does a complete turnaround. She stops dressing and sits down on the edge of the bed. Her face softens.
You thought about 2A more than 2B? Really?
The man pauses and steps back.
Which one was 2A again?
The woman flops back in bed again with an exasperated sigh. The man lays down next to her.
I didn't mean to make you mad.
I know.
I didn't mean to disrespect you.
You didn't.
They roll their bodies to face each other.
Next Friday, okay?
Okay. Next Friday. But only if you want.
The woman rolls onto her back and stares at the ceiling. The man cuddles up against her.
This is it. This is the beginning of the end. All downhill from here.
Is that what happened with the other 5 guys?
The woman sighs with anger, gets out of bed. Fade to black.
Fade in. Interior, Remy's apartment, night. 2 men on opposite sides of the table, leaning in toward each other, illuminated by flickering candles between them, which provide the only relief from the impenetrable darkness surrounding. Pangborn is elder, grizzled, perhaps a little crazy. Remy is fresh-faced innocence. Where Pangborn is confident, Remy is a bundle of nerves. In one hand, Pangborn holds a wad of furled photos, On the table in the background are the remnants of Fong's garlic noodles in a Chinese takeout carton.
Are you sure?
Pangborn nods. Remy considers. His jaw moves as though he's chewing it over.
Remy, we have to stop him.
Remy's still uncertain.
But are you sure?
There is no doubt. Carl Theodore is the man we're after.
Remy searches the dark as if the answer waits him there. Pangborn stands, paces,
Lucius, Chroma, my own Mary,
takes a moment, pained.
and now Scotty.
Remy overcome, unable to unknow the truth of this.
But Pangborn, he just doesn't look like...
What did you expect?
Remy shakes his head, unable to provide an answer. Pangborn lays down the photos he's been holding in front of Remy, gruesome images of victims which we never clearly see.
Don't you want to avenge your brother?
Remy's expression hardens. Resolved to action, he looks up at Pangborn and nods. Fade to interior train station, night, fog shrouded. Platforms for north and southbound. A covered section running part of the length. Pillars at intervals. Fluorescent lights up high, supplying patchy illumination. We hear the train pulling in off screen. Passengers disembark in the heavy fog and move toward the exits. As the passengers disperse, we're left with a man in an overcoat, pulling up his collar. This is Carl Theodore, average looking, in his late 20s. He starts to walk down the empty platform. As he walks along, we can see Remy now detaching himself from the darkness and following Carl, trying to remain unnoticed. Remy is following Carl closely. As we move past the next pillar, there, flattened against it, is Pangborn, tensed, poised to strike, a cloth sack clutched in his hands. Carl's point of view, Pangborn. Jumping out from behind the pillar, cloth sack raised.
Ha!
Back to scene. As Remy simultaneously pinions Carl and Carl's point of view. Pangborn, the cloth sack descends, sending us to... Cut to black. Interior, Remy's apartment, night. The cloth sack is whisked off Carl's head by Pangborn. Carl blinks in the candlelight. A sock is stuffed in his mouth. He is bound to a chair. Remy and Pangborn stand before him, Pangborn closest. Remy still nervous, keeping distant. Pangborn looks down at Carl, filled with loathing. Pangborn removes the sock from Carl's mouth.
Don't speak, fiend. We know who you are.
Carl opens his mouth, about to speak, but Pangborn cuts him off with a quick
Shh!
gesture.
Your reign of terror ends tonight, Carl Theodore.
Carl looks around, scared, confused. Pangborn smiles.
Remy, the holy water.
Carl's eyes go wide as Pangborn holds out his hand toward Remy. Remy looks guilty. Remy's point of view, empty Evian bottle. In his hand. Back to scene. As Remy hands it over to Pangborn, who looks at it, looks at Remy.
It's hot out there.
Pangborn discards the bottle.
The crucifix, Remy.
Remy searches in a bag on the floor. He comes up with the crucifix, hands it to Pangborn. Pangborn takes it, smiling, suddenly animated.
Now, burn, you devil, burn!
Pangborn thrusts the crucifix against Carl's forehead. Carl recoils.
Ow.
Burns, doesn't it?
No. It's really punched into my head.
Pangborn steps back, looks at the crucifix, disappointed. Remy looks at Pangborn, confused.
Maybe it needs to be blessed.
Remy's nerves are getting the best of him.
What do we do now?
The dawn, Remy. We wait for the purifying light of dawn.
This is
to
gone
incinerate him.
far enough.
Silence!
Kidnapping is a federal felony.
Stuffing the sock back in Carl's mouth.
Still thy forked tongue, hellspawn!
Remy is ashen, sincerely troubled by the turn of events.
Now we wait.
Remy steps back further as Pangborn adjusts the shutters. Dissolve to montage. As the dawn approaches, a vague gray can be detected falling through the blinds into the room. The gray has become more distant, reaching in further into the room. The gray is almost white now, and close to reaching Carl's foot. Interior, Remy's apartment, dawn. Pangborn sees the light getting close to Carl's foot. As Carl moves his foot away from the light, Pangborn dashes behind him to hold still.
Now, Now, Remy, now!
Remy runs to the blinds and throws them open. The bright, clear light falls full on Carl, who screws up his face, averting his eyes from the glare. A moment. Pangborn clutching Carl, holding him fast to the chair. Remy by the window, looking anxiously on. Carl trying to look away from the intense light. Nothing more happens. Pangborn's face drops. Remy looks at Pangborn. Pangborn, a little sheepish, looks over at Carl. Carl glares a, well, at him.
Sorry.
Pangborn takes the sock from Carl's mouth. He starts to undo the rope, fastening Carl to the chair.
Yeah, sorry.
We'd appreciate it if you'd forget the entire incident.
You kidnapped me. You punched me in the head with a cross. You try to blind me.
We thought you were,
What?
Finished untying Carl.
It sounds a bit silly.
Carl stands, turning toward Pangborn, who also stands now. Close, Carl, baring his fangs and lunging for Pangborn. Back to scene. As Carl and Pangborn fall off screen, Carl latched onto Pangborn's neck with his fangs, one hand over Pangborn's mouth, muffling the scream. Remy's mouth hangs open.
Oh!
Angle on Carl and Pangborn. On the floor, Pangborn dead. Carl, looking up at us now, blood smeared across his mouth. Back to scene.
crap.
Carl springs to his feet. Remy rooted to the spot.
But.
The light? Yeah, that's bullshit.
The crucifix?
I'm Jewish.
A stake in the heart?
You stab anybody with a big pointy piece of wood in anyone's heart, and they're pretty much gonna die.
Unless it's Pinocchio.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Those are some terrible last words.
Oh, you're right. Well, give me a moment. I'll think of something better.
Remy ponders. Carl waits, glances at his wristwatch.
Well, I have to be at the office at 8.
8? That sucks. 9:30 for me.
This isn't helping your cause.
Right.
It's better to burn out than fade away.
Ooh, no, that's tacky.
Nirvana is not You know what? You're tacky. Get the hell on with it.
Okay. Can't think.
Reality bites. Listen, I'm the only guy who's gonna hear these words, and I'm not gonna repeat them to anyone, so what is it even important?
Put it like that.
Carl bares his fangs again.
Wait!
What now? Well? Oh, for God's sake.
No, I remember.
What?
Smiling a shrug.
Nah, I got nothing.
Carl sighs, goes to bite Remy, stops. Remy looks confused. Carl leans in close to him, sniffing, backs off.
Have you been eating garlic?
Realization setting in.
Yeah! I was! Oh, hey, is that one true about vampires then?
No, it's just tastes fucking rank. In moderation, sure, but you must have eaten a whole crate of cloves. Jesus.
Sorry.
Bit late for that.
Backs away.
You were seriously pissing me off.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. You might kill me or something.
Carl grabs Remy by the throat.
There are worse things than death.
Smiles.
Maybe I'll show you sometime.
Glancing at his watch.
Don't you need to be getting going?
A moment. Carl holding Remy by the throat, staring deep into his frightened eyes.
I'll see you, Remy.
He lets go and exits. A moment. Remy's standing there, still alive. The door opens again as Carl leans in.
Oh, and by the way,
Remy jumps a mile in the air.
I ban you from this dwelling!
what?
I revoke your invitation!
You didn't invite me anywhere. You bundled me up and...
Right. That's not true then?
Look,
I just thought I should offer you some advice.
Advice?
If you have any of those pointy sticks stored away somewhere, you might want to grab yourself one.
Why? What are you going to?
Well, not for me.
Carl nods over toward Pangborn's crumpled body.
What do you? He can't change. He has to drink your blood, or?
Carl holds up his palm.
Paper cut.
You can't be serious.
Nah, I'm just joshing.
He laughs, turns about, and disappears through the room.
You're not serious, are you? Are you?
Off screen.
Sweet dreams, Remy.
Remy looks over at Pangborn's body. A moment. He goes to a closet, opens it up, and ducks inside, rummaging around. When he straightens, he holds a stake in his hands. Dissolve 2. Interior Remy's apartment day. Remy sits next to Pangborn's body, knees drawn up to his chest, stake clutched in one hand, hammer in the other. He stares sorrowfully at his dead friend. Pangborn lies there, the blood from his neck a dry pool. Remy closes his eyes, bows his head. A noise. Remy looks up. Pangborn is still. Remy's eyes dart around, nothing there, just the body of Pangborn. Remy closes his eyes again. The sound is hollow, a whisper from beyond the grave. Remy looks over, dread, fear. Gathers his courage, stake in hand, he crawls over to Pangborn's body.
Pangborn?
Pangborn's eyes open.
Remy. Did we get him?
Well...
Remy! What's this blood?
There was a struggle and...
Pangborn props himself up on one elbow. He puts a finger in his mouth.
Gods! Remy, I have...
I'm sorry, Pangborn!
I'm a fiend! A creature of the night!
Remy lifts up the stake.
I'm so sorry!
I understand. I am a cursed thing. Do what you must. End this horror.
He lies back. Remy positions the stake, raises the hammer. Suddenly, Pangborn grabs the stake.
What am I doing? No, this is not our way. Think, Remy. I am one of them now. Now we can fight their fire with fire. I will be our weapon. A fiend fighting the fiends.
You think that'll work?
Remy, when have my plans not been a resounding success?
Well...
Keep your stake close to hand, my trusted sidekick. Together, Remy, now we have the power. We have the power!
Pangborn springs to his feet.
I fly into the night.
Day!
Day, Remy, I fly to fight the good fight.
Pangborn dashes to the French windows, throws them open, jumps onto the balcony balustrade.
We have the power now, Remy.
He jumps.
Ha-ha!
He falls. Off screen, we hear a thud.
Ow.
And strangled cry of his landing. Remy waits a moment, walks over to the balustrade, looks down, off screen.
I didn't turn into a bat, Remy. Why didn't I turn into a bat? I think my legs are broken. Could you call a doctor?
Remy takes out his phone and dials.
It hurts, Remy. Why didn't I turn into a bat?
Fade to white. The end.
Interior, night, restaurant. A couple in their late 20s has just ordered dinner in an intimate restaurant. They both have dark beers. There are a few empty beer mugs on the table. The woman looks awestruck. The man is smiling shyly, eyes firmly on his beer.
You said it.
I know, I mean it.
When did it happen?
I don't know, it's been brewing.
Let's review this. I said, God, I love a good stout. And you said, I love you.
Yeah? How long are you gonna torture me?
What do you mean?
You either have to say it back, or if not, I order 4 shots of tequila, drink them, shake your hand, and call the last 3 months a good run of sex and watching independent films.
Christy takes a big swig of beer. She smiles, closed-lipped.
It has been a good 3 months.
Fuck, Cuervo time.
No, shut up. I love you too. It's just so cliche for the woman to say it first, and you know how I despise cliches.
Justin visibly relaxes and smiles.
I knew it.
You did not.
I was pretty sure.
So you really don't know why you said it tonight?
You were polishing off that oatmeal stout and looked like you wanted to make out with it. So I was thinking, I love that you love dark beer. That turned into I love you.
You love that I drink dark beer?
It's hot. Drinking no flavor, 4-calorie beer is just a waste. It's like water or piss, watered down piss.
True, but I do drink 4-calorie piss beer sometimes because a woman drinking dark beer might be sexy, but you know, if that's all I drank, well, I hope you grow to like a jiggling beer gut and think that was sexy too.
Oh yeah, that's hot.
Whatever, you would not find me attractive if I had a beer gut.
Would too.
Not like a cute little like pooch tummy, like a serious gut, like, hey, when are you due? Oh, you're not pregnant, my bad, kind of gut.
I was with my buddy one time when he asked a woman that and she wasn't pregnant.
You lie. Plus, you're trying to change the subject.
Maybe, but I swear he did.
You never ask a woman that, even if she looks 11 months along, even if her water breaks on your shoes.
I know that. My friend is an idiot. It's on that list of things no one should ask about until they know you. Well, like, are you dating someone, or when are you getting married?
See, this is partly why I love you. And you know, after you're married, it's like, when are you having another baby, or even another baby? God, I don't ask me that kind of crap unless we've known each other for years and I have driven your drunk ass home and you've done the same for me.
They drink some beer and smile. Christy's smile fades first.
I have to tell you something.
You want to know if I'm dating someone?
I'm being serious for a minute.
Fuck. We said I love you, so here's the big thing you've kept secret.
It may or may not be a big thing. It's just something I never know when I should tell a guy. It's just this thing. It's this fucking thing.
Right now, I think you have cancer. Is it cancer?
No, God, sorry. Look, I mentioned early on that I may not want to have kids.
Right, I'm not sure either.
And that's true, but it's more than that. I actually can't have children of my own, ever. Not like a 5% chance, but never.
Justin is quiet for a moment, but looking at her intensely.
Why?
I was born without a uterus. Well, it's a little bit formed, but nowhere close to fully formed. Everything else is there, but I just couldn't carry a baby because there's no place to grow it.
Okay.
Look, whatever you're thinking, please just don't feel sorry for me.
I don't feel sorry for you.
You don't?
No. You really don't want kids, right? So it's not a tragedy for you. It might be for some women, but not you.
Ow.
What?
No one has ever gotten it. Most people just get this sadness behind their eyes, like they think I'm just putting up a brave front.
Justin looks down at his hands, plays with a knife on the table, and starts his next words slowly, drawing them out.
Well, from what I've seen so far, you would be a really shitty mother.
Thank you.
And I think I would be a shitty dad. I told you before I wasn't sure about kids, but actually I know I don't want them. I like my life as is.
Ugh, you have no idea what a relief this is. I mean, some of the reactions I have gotten in the past.
The waiter brings their food. They eat and continue to talk.
Like what kind of reactions?
Okay. Picture 14-year-old me in a doctor's office. They know something's wrong because I'm fully developed, but never started my period. I had a CT, and this female doctor comes in with fucking tears in her eyes. She's supposed to be professional. My mom is sitting in the room with me, sees the doctor's face, and immediately bursts into hysterical sobs. I thought they were gonna tell me I was dying. I've always had a wild imagination. I even thought it might be AIDS, even though I was a virgin. And I didn't quite understand AIDS back then, so I figured I had a mutant strain of it and was starting an end-of-the-world epidemic.
Justin bursts out laughing and covers his mouth with a napkin.
What the hell? That's not a wild imagination. That is some hallucinogenic, apocalyptic, night terror shit.
Right? So, the doctor says...
Interior, doctor's office, day. Teenage Christy is sitting in a tiny doctor's office next to her sobbing mother and a teary-eyed female doctor.
You have a condition known as Mayer-Rokitansky-Kuster-Hauser syndrome. It means you don't have a fully developed uterus. In your case, it's less than 15%.
The mother sobs harder. Christy looks confused.
You will never have your period. You will never get pregnant.
Interior, night, restaurant. Justin looks expectantly at Christy.
What did you say?
In my mind, I had my life back, so no cancer, no mutant AIDS, so I said, that's all? Then I started to laugh, cackling, and I couldn't stop, and they both just stared at me.
Then what?
Well, the doctor gave my mom a referral to a therapist.
Interior, therapist's office, day. Teenage Christy is in a different office with a female therapist. They are sitting in big chairs facing each other.
You need to grieve for this loss. It's okay to grieve for the children you will never have. Grieve for this unfinished part of your womanhood. It's okay to grieve. Grieve.
Interior, night, restaurant. Justin is chewing with a half smile.
Grieve for your uterus. Like it was a dead hamster? What'd you say?
Well, I got mad. She was basically telling me I wasn't ever going to be a complete woman, so I just started being a little sarcastic teenage shit.
Interior, therapist's office, day. Christy and the therapist are sitting across from one another.
Maybe we can have a funeral for it. You know, we can get a shoebox and fill it out with cut-up pictures of babies from magazines and maybe like mold a fake uterus out of like Play-Doh and bury it in the backyard.
Interior, night, restaurant. Justin is laughing. Christy looks proud.
You twisted little brat.
She thought it was a good idea.
No.
Yeah, she thought we had a productive session.
So, your parents, what did they think?
Well, my dad never talked about it. My mom calmed down after a few weeks, and thank God she thought the therapist was over the top too. I never went back.
Crazy stuff to deal with at 14.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Everything went back to normal. I was kissing boys, I was kicking ass at volleyball, and I was singing in show choir. That was life.
Show choir?
Shut up. But the first time it became an issue was a few years later with my high school boyfriend's parents. That's when I realized the problem with my problem, telling guys how I tell them.
But you said it was his parents.
Yeah, see, telling him, his name was Warren.
Warren.
Shut up. Telling Warren was easy. He was like, who cares? We're 17. You can't get pregnant. Rock on. But his parents, they caught us. Well, his dad caught us.
Having sweaty teenage sex?
In a waterbed.
Oh, God. Is that where your hatred of cliches began?
You know, maybe. Okay, so Warren's dad caught us and told Warren's mother, and these people were super religious, like speaking in tongues to pass the butter at dinner religious. So a week later, they sat us down and had a talk.
Christ, humiliating.
Yeah, and it was all about having respect for your future spouse and saving yourself, and we had ruined, that tarnished the temple.
You slut.
Yes. So Warren jumps in and says we do want to get married as soon as we're 18. I knew he was bullshitting, but it did shift his parents' anger. They were actually really happy, but we broke up a few months later, and I guess his parents were super disappointed.
Even though your temple was trashed?
Yeah, but the breakup wasn't tragic or anything, and I was really close to his little sister, so a few months later his mom asked me to come to his sister's junior high school graduation thing at their church, and I agreed.
I'm assuming that was a mistake.
Yes, it was. They did the graduate ceremony, but then at the end they had like the altar call or whatever, come to the front.
Oh, if you want to be saved or if you have a prayer request?
Yeah. And the next thing I know, Warren's mom has me by the hands, leading me to the front, and right there in front of this giant congregation, she announces that I have female troubles and asks everyone to pray for the healing of my womanly infrastructure.
She said womanly infrastructure?
She did! And all these women came up front, and everyone was touching me and chanting nonsense, and one woman's eyes rolled back in her head, and someone else was twitching on the ground, and Warren's mom and sister were crying, and I could smell someone's coffee breath and someone's BO.
That's a story. A story that there isn't an adjective fucked up enough to describe that story.
But you know what bothered me the most? It wasn't the laying hands on me thing. I mean, sure, she didn't bother to ask me my beliefs. She didn't ask if I would be cool if my uterus just burst into existence.
So what bothered you most?
The same shit that the doctor and the therapist hinted at, that I wasn't a complete woman without this pear-sized organ.
They both chew on their food in thought.
So I'm assuming you have had to tell other guys about this.
Yes.
Lay the details on me.
Well, there have been the guys I told too early, thinking it would be better if they knew before either of us got super attached.
Cut to 3 different guys. Quick shots.
TMI, seriously, I'm trying to eat.
It's kind of early to start talking about kids. We should probably see other people.
Wait, does that make you a dude?
Interior, night, restaurant. Justin's eyes are wide as he takes a drink of beer.
Then there were the guys I told after we were kind of serious, thinking they would be ready to hear it.
Cut to 3 different guys. Quick shots.
So when you act like a PMSing bitch once a month, you're faking it?
You thought I didn't need to know this sooner? What is wrong with you? You're tearing my heart out!
Wait, does that make you a dude?
Interior night, restaurant. Justin chokes on his beer. Christy is enthusiastic, on a roll with her stories.
And then there are a few who must have never taken human anatomy.
Cut to 3 different guys. Quick shots.
But we have sex. If you don't have a uterus, how are we having sex?
Don't you need that to live?
So you're telling me you're a dude?
Interior night, restaurant. Justin is laughing out loud. Christy shakes her head.
I don't expect everyone to know the exact placement of the human organs, but really? I mean, I admit I wonder if my fallopian tubes are just flapping around in there.
Christy makes a wiggling motion using her body and arms while making a ridiculous noise, which she just did.
Wow, that is amazing. Is that what your fallopian tubes are really doing?
I guess I don't actually know.
They are definitely making that sound, though. I think I hear them.
Okay. Okay, but then there was Mike, the standout reaction, and in this story, I am kind of a bad person.
Go on.
Mike was a really, really nice guy. So nice. Too nice for me.
You need a little bit of depravity in your boyfriends.
Obviously. Someone who doesn't freak out when I say I'm so bored that I want to punch myself in the tit, or the piece of chocolate cake sounds so good that I just want to bathe in it.
Nothing wrong with that.
So Mike started talking about marriage and babies almost immediately. I thought for once this no uterus thing can be used for good instead of awkwardness. So I told him.
And?
He swung me around like we were in a cliche romantic comedy, and his mother had not been able to conceive either. He was the result of his aunt being a surrogate. He said it was a sign that we were destined for each other, plus several of his cousins would lend us their wombs.
Like rent a womb?
Right. Which I know is a modern scientific miracle, but gross. Anyway, that plan just blew up in my face, and I just had to tell him that I didn't love him.
How'd that go?
He told me that maybe God didn't give me a uterus since I was so cold that I would never be able to love a child anyway.
Ouch, Jesus, that's harsh for such a nice guy.
Right? And I don't despise kids. I mean, not all kids. I like my nieces and nephews.
I like mine too, most of them.
So after that, I decided using the situation to my advantage was probably not the best idea. But...
You crushed another guy?
No, but I have used it to make other people feel bad. Usually other women.
Explain.
It's those nosy people we were talking about before who just won't stop with the personal questions. If a person pushes it too far...
Interior living room, evening. Christy and a woman are talking in a living room at a small party. Both have little plates of finger food.
You say you don't want kids now, but you will.
I don't know. I'm 28, not 21. I kind of feel like I know.
Well, you could change your mind in 6 months, and then what? Before you know it, your eggs are dried up.
It's just not for me.
I used to say the same thing.
I'm career-oriented.
I used to say the same thing.
I don't have a uterus.
I used to... What?
Interior night, restaurant. Christy looks at Justin with raised eyebrows.
Okay, that woman deserves to feel terrible. You're not that bad.
Thank you. But this other time...
Interior bar, evening. Christy is with a different female having drinks in a bar with loud music. Christy looks weary from the conversation.
You have to have at least one, but then most people want more than one.
Yeah, I don't have a uterus, and I can't have kids, and I really don't want to talk about it anymore.
Oh my God! I know we just met in this bar, but I've always felt like I was supposed to be a surrogate. I'll carry your baby!
Interior night, restaurant. Justin is shaking his head in disbelief.
I know she meant well, but a stranger is willing to pop a kid out for me? I can't win. Telling everyone has been mostly disastrous. Well, except for Warren.
Justin doesn't say anything, but gives Christy a half smile. Christy takes a long drink of beer.
And you. It hasn't been a disaster telling you.
It's actually been kind of fun.
You're right. Well, fuck my sob story and everyone reacting like an ass or a weirdo.
Oh, I'm an ass and kind of weird. But I like your foul mouth and your taste in movies, except Steel Magnolias, that's a piece of shit. And kids aren't for me, so your 15% uterus is not an issue.
It's actually less than 15%.
Well, then I'm out, you freak.
Shut up.
The waiter comes and takes their plates away.
You want dessert?
I could bathe in some chocolate cake about now.
And scene.
Actually, not entirely my own. My best friend is in her 20s, and I'm not. And we were kind of talking one night, as we always do, about our sex lives, because that's what we do. And I realized that hers was a lot more interesting than mine, because when you're in your 20s, sex is just like a series of dares, just kind of this escalating series of dares. And she ran with that idea. She really liked it. So this just kind of came out of that conversation.
Yeah, you guys already know a bunch of embarrassing stuff, so yeah, mine is very much based on personal experience. Some exaggerations, of course, but a lot of people really said similar things like that to me in my life, so it's people ask you crazy questions, and it's really good thing or inspires you to write. So.
Any other questions? Yes.
Did you both write them as self-contained pieces, or do you plan on expanding them into longer ideas?
Mine's definitely self-contained.
I think so too, yeah. I hadn't written anything short before. I actually write novels, and I'm not good at short stories at all, but my husband convinced me to write this piece into a short screenplay, and so it's really one of the first short works that I've done, and I think it should stay a short.
Any other questions? Yes.
Do either of you guys hope to see it come to the screen?
I'm actually hoping to film mine in August. So the aforementioned best friend is actually an actress in Chicago, so she's, we have to do this, we have to do this. She was like, and you know a film editor, and he'll do it for you. And I'm like, yeah, that's my 21-year-old son. I don't think so. That's just weird. So yeah, we're trying to put a crew together and get it done. I mean, it should be easy. It's one room and 2 people, and I've got half of them already selected. So
Same thing here. Again, my husband has he has interest in directing and editing and that. So I just write. So I'm going to turn it over to him and some wonderful people we've met here at the deadCENTER, and maybe try to enter it next year in the shorts. Would be the goal.
Process question: did you start large and trim it down, or did you start small and expand, or did you have the entire scene and just knew exactly where you were?
for me, it was definitely starting small. I hadn't done a whole lot of short films. I've done some short comedy sketches here and there for a couple different groups in Chicago, but definitely for me, it was just kind of, I had this little nugget of an idea, and similar to, I guess it's similar to a short story. I just knew this was a very small idea that I wanted to write, so definitely started small and kept it that way.
So I'm used to writing longer pieces, and so mine ended up being like probably about 30 pages, and I think the limit here is 15. Is that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I think it's 15. I think, and so I trimmed it down, but it was great because I let my husband Ted and just a couple other people I really trust, I let them read it, and it's amazing how much crap you think it's all gold when you're writing it. I thought, like, how can I cut down these 30 pages? They were not all fantastic, and so anyway, cut it. So I started a little bigger, but still just the same idea. Yeah.
Just curious, out of both of you, if you had to guess approximately how many rewrites did you do on your work from the first to the end?
Oh my goodness.
Have you any idea?
Depends on what you mean by a rewrite. I mean, there's.
It's a pretty fairly big edits, or just cutting pieces, either way.
I'm tinkering with my stuff constantly. Until it's filmed, it's not done. Until it's put, final edit, it's not done. So I'm always going back and fixing it, wake up in the middle of the night like, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. So nothing's ever done for me unless it's on DVD.
I teach college full time, and so I did 3. I did 3, and just after the third one, I said okay, and I just didn't have time, and I probably, you go back and you could change things here and there, but I finally just had to, the deadline too, so had to submit.
Thank God for deadlines.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 3 for me.
One other question from Ms. McDaniel. In your rewriting process, evidently you've gone through quite a few on this particular work. Do you ever feel like that you have rewritten so much till you begin losing your perspective? Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah, and that's where it helps having people around you who will read things. And I have a couple people I just completely, similar to you, just completely trust to take a look at it. My friend Alex is one because she's an actress. She looks at it from a very different perspective than I do. And she'll go through and read it and say, well, how should I be presenting this line? And how do we do this? And how, if the actress chooses to take it this way, that's going to impact the rest of the script. So I really trust her and a couple other people I have that I know that they'll tell me, okay, stop. And I also keep every one of my drafts, so my final will have a little bit from here and a little bit from there and all over the place. Because I'll rewrite something 3 or 4 times and go back to the first draft as being the best, so.